Facing a season of burnout is obviously exhausting, but it can also be depressing and confusing. What does it mean when thinking about the thing you love most, your singing, your music, your teaching, fills you with dread? And what about the areas important to your career, like social media marketing and branding, that may not even be your passion, but still have to get done? Here's the thing about burnout. You can get through it and even avoid it in the first place. Want to learn how? Then keep on watching. Hi, I'm Fiona, your coach for all things singing, including mindset, marketing, and monetization. Are you a singer or performing artist interested in a profitable, consistent, sustainable career? Then take a moment to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. New videos every Wednesday. So let's get to it and cover my top 15 tips for avoiding burnout and dealing with it when it's already too late. Because let's face it, if you're searching this topic, then you probably already are burnt out, okay? Tip 1 is awareness. You've got to pay attention to the signs that you may be getting burnt out. As artists, and really simply as humans living in the modern world, we always need to be aware that burnout is real and often walking close beside our focus, passion, and momentum. It's so easy when you're your own boss as a singerpreneur to work around the clock. And when money and opportunities feel scarce, artists tend to take whatever work come their way. This may mean a church job, gig, rehearsal, day job, and teaching all on the same day. So pay attention and recognize the signs that you may be working too hard and not regenerating enough. In other words, consistently replenish yourself and refill your cup. What do you do for fun? How do you like to spend your days off? Are you even taking days off? I love the idea of solo artist dates like Julia Cameron recommends in The Artist Way. Basically, an artist date is a date you go on by yourself, where you do something that inspires the artist inside you. Find ways to refuel your body, mind, and artistic fire. Build time off and vacations into your life. Just because you're living the dream and not working a 9-to-5 doesn't mean you should ignore the structure that does support people with more traditional jobs. Time off from your work, even when your work is your passion, is essential, okay? Tip 3 is to determine if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Fiona, why does that matter? Because it's important to understand that while we all need physical rest, sometimes the weary feeling we get when we think about going out into the world is less about burnout and more about being an introvert. Or the exhaustion we feel when looking at our home computer screen is less about work and more about being an extrovert who would be happy to face that same computer screen in a co-working environment instead of at home alone. Consciously identifying if you're an introvert or extrovert will also help you choose the best activities for you on your artist dates and for the specific ways you find to replenish yourself. Often performers misidentify themselves as extroverts just because they love performing. Here's the easiest way to figure out your type. Ultimately, do you need time alone to refuel, or do you refuel off of the energy of other people? I love being with people and can appear very extroverted, but after time in company, I very much need time alone. If you're an extrovert, then you'd have the reverse experience. Maybe you like a solo walk in nature, but afterwards, you want to meet up with friends. Make sense? Another key to avoiding burnout is to keep your why at the forefront of your mind at all times. Why are you working on this particular project? Where is your passion coming from? What was the initial burst of inspiration? If it's a particular project that's getting you down, focus on why you started the project in the first place. If it's your music or the industry in general, then do a deep dive into what music means to you and why you want to make a difference in the world. Isn't it amazing when we take a moment to remember our personal why? One of the things that really helps me to both avoid burnout and to get through burnout is maintaining a morning routine. My morning routine serves multiple purposes. On the surface, it's clear I'm doing things to give myself an advantage at the beginning of the day. I know my children will be up at 6:30 and I'll have to transition into caregiver, household manager. So by getting up at 5, I give myself permission to start slow, to relish my warm shower. Nope, no cold shower ritual for me, at least not during this season. To stretch, meditate, and journal. This routine is deeply nourishing regardless of my state. But here's where it becomes magical. By maintaining my morning routine during the high times of the year, I'm building muscle memory and a habit of positive behavior. This way, when burnout does hit, I can rely on my morning routine being there to help support me through it. Cool? Okay, thanks for these tips, Fiona, but what can I do when it's too late and I'm already suffering some serious burnout? The first thing to do is to forgive yourself. Burnout is often a natural response to the stress of consistently working too hard without enough breaks. Listen to your burnout. Don't push through it unless absolutely necessary, because it'll just get worse and may end up making you sick. And trust me, I'm speaking from experience on that one. So be patient. Trust that burnout often happens in cycles, just like the seasons. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to shift your attention elsewhere, okay? It's definitely okay to go to the movies or read a book. Just remember, when you give yourself space and time, the burnout will eventually pass. You with me? So take some time off. This will look different for different people. It may just be a night out with friends. On the other hand, it could take a week, a month, even a year. If you're like me and ignored the signs of burnout for so long that you ended up seriously ill, it may take 6 full weeks watching reruns of Scrubs till you can face your life again. Don't judge. Scrubs made me laugh when nothing else could. Don't underestimate the negative impact of negative news and an unhealthy relationship to social media. Unplug. If world events and constant grass is greener comparisons on social media is part of the problem, then take a break. Delete your apps. Spend time with friends in person instead of online for a while. Make sense? And trust your instincts. What I mean is listen inside. We all have a real connection to our own best guidance. Just get quiet and focus within. Then take action on your inspiration. Your inner voice may tell you to shut down social media, to watch Scrubs, to meditate, to switch projects, even to learn how to knit. Trust yourself and actually follow this guidance. And definitely follow your creative impulses as well. Often your creativity is the thing that will pull you out of a burnout. It's the artist within you that may have gotten burnt out in the first place. Our inner artist doesn't like being forced to do things that are out of alignment with our purpose or just out of alignment with our current level of energy. Tip 12 is to make conscious choices about consumption. And by consumption, I mean food, TV, shopping, social media, and especially drugs and alcohol. Rather than numbing yourself to the pain and frustration, try to actually be present with your feelings. It's very easy in most cultures to hide our pain and wear a mask of strength. But when the mask starts to crack, we turn to habits of consumption that may help in the short term, but only make things worse in the long run. Don't hide from your burnout. Feeling your feelings will help you move through this difficult time more quickly. However, if it does take 6 weeks of Scrubs before you can face your feelings, as I said earlier, be patient, forgive yourself, and most of all, don't judge yourself, okay? When you feel depressed and burnt out, it becomes super important to follow the fun. Doesn't that sound appealing? What I mean is that it's easy to forget what fun even looks like because we're in a cycle of stress and working too hard without breaks. When dealing with burnout, you've got to stop yourself and actually check in regularly with questions directed at rekindling your inner fire. Ask yourself, when making a decision, which choice sounds more fun? When waking up in the morning, think about what fun could be added to your day. Sometimes it's hard to imagine anything being fun. At these times, pull out your journal and actually make a list of activities you've enjoyed in the past, even if they don't sound appealing right in this moment. And then force yourself to try a few. You'll be surprised by how quickly you can remember how to enjoy yourself again. And wouldn't that be great? Tip 14 is to put self-care first, and as you come out of this season of burnout, make a real commitment to maintaining your self-care year-round. As I mentioned in relation to my morning ritual, once you make a healthy habit when you're feeling great, it's easier to rely on that same healthy habit when you're feeling low. Pull out your journal again and get clear about what self-care looks like to you. For me, it's a combination of my morning routine, making time to prepare and eat healthy meals, and most importantly, time alone for rest and reflection because I'm an introvert. Lastly, it's important to recognize that sometimes a season of burnout can actually be an indicator that it's time to pivot and/or scale your business. This happened to me when I realized that I simply didn't want to teach one-to-one singing lessons for the rest of my life. I wasn't looking forward to seeing my students anymore. I felt depleted and exhausted. But when I started to think about shifting the focus of my coaching from vocal technique to business, everything changed. Suddenly, I was full of energy and excitement for the new direction. And I also know from past experience that eventually the one-to-one model becomes too repetitive. So I'm already thinking about how I can scale my program to group coaching and eventually a course. Doesn't that sound exciting? It does to me. I really hope these tips will help you to get through this period of burnout. Remember, it won't last forever. In fact, by listening to the tips here that resonated with your inner guidance, you're already on your way to recovery. Now, help me to avoid burnout with YouTube by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and hitting the notification bell so you won't miss a single video. And definitely let me know in the comments below what other topics you'd like for me to cover to help you with your singing career. Sometimes burnout is triggered these days by working really hard to create great content and then receiving low social media engagement. So you'll definitely want to watch this video. And now, as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.